Everyone thinks a great New York restaurant needs amazing food. They're wrong. This place served cream cheese sandwiches and coffee. When it closed, people mourned. Chock full of nuts wasn't trying to impress you. It didn't have menus you needed a translator for. It had no waitresses, only a counter and a good cup of coffee. A guy who already knew what you wanted before you sat down. When speaking to so many Chock full of nuts fans, one of you shared a memory with me that was very powerful. Make sure to stay until the end so you can hear it. First, you need to understand what this place was. It started with a man named William Black, a Lithuanian Jewish immigrant who sold roasted nuts. His clientele were the theater crowd in Times Square. In 1926, he opened a tiny shop at Broadway and 43rd. He called it Chock full o' Nuts. During its prime, he owned 18 nut shops. Then the Depression hit. Nobody could afford to buy nuts anymore. So Mr. Black made a choice that would shape New York for the next 50 years. He converted these shops from selling nuts to selling coffee. The company's signature was a nutted cheese sandwich. It was made of cream cheese and chopped nuts on dark raisin bread. It cost a nickel with a cup of coffee. Simple, cheap, good. By the 1960s, there were over 80 chock full of nuts counters. They were located across the city and throughout the boroughs. And if you worked in Manhattan, you didn't choose to go, you just went. Let's talk about the experience. You push through the door and it's already crowded. The counter twists through the room like a snake. No tables, no booths, just stools. You find a spot. The guy behind the counter doesn't ask what you want. He already knows. He already pours. The coffee's hot. The sandwich comes fast. Cream cheese and walnuts on cinnamon raisin bread. They don't touch it with their hands. That was the rule. Tongs only. Untouched by human hands, the signs said. It sounds clinical, but it wasn't. It was clean. It was fast. It was reliable. You didn't go for a special occasion. You went because it was Tuesday, because it was lunch, because it was there. On your block, on your commute, in your routine. The jingle plays in your head before you even realize it. Chock full of nuts is that heavenly coffee. You hum it the rest of the day. I shared a photo of this Manhattan chock full of nuts on TikTok, and many of you showed up with your stories. My mom and I used to go to Chock full of Nuts near Macy's every time we went shopping. I ate lunch at Chock full of Nuts as a child and had cheese sandwiches every time. Chock full of Nuts was right across from my apartment in middle school. I occasionally got a hot dog there. My dad worked at Chock full of Nuts. I used to love going there for the date nut bread and cream cheese. Chock full had a lunch special, sandwich with a cup of soup, my daily meal while working my first job. Sad that they are gone. Always loved Chock full of Nuts. Great for a quick lunch when I worked in Manhattan. There was a Chock full of Nuts on the ground floor of my office building when I first moved to New York City. It was a classic. I was a kid when I ate there. Older folks went to Chock full for coffee and a Danish. I had a hot dog and an orange soda. I had no idea why I remember that. LOL. Some of you talked about the food. Chock full of Nuts was my first cup of coffee, and decades later, I'm still buying it. I loved Chock full of Nuts cheeseburgers as a kid. Others about the routine of visiting by saying, got a cup of Chock full of nuts every morning on my way to work. I want to say Fifth Avenue on 43rd. And then this one. I ate at Chock full of Nuts just before it closed. The food wasn't amazing, but it was more about taking part in New York City history. That's the thing about Chock full of Nuts. The food wasn't amazing, but it mattered anyway because it was woven into the ordinary days that made up your life. If you remember Manhattan's Chock full of Nuts, or if someone you love told you a story about it, share them in the comments. Your story belongs here too. Chock full of Nuts wasn't about the food. It was about the rhythm. It was the place you went to before your shift, after school, between errands. It was the 10-minute pause in a city that never stopped moving, and it was democratic in a way that mattered. William Black refused to let anyone tip. He paid his workers fairly so they didn't have to depend on it. He hired African American employees as cooks and counter staff decades before most restaurants would. Want to know an interesting fact that many people do not know? When Jackie Robinson retired from baseball, he didn't just endorse the brand, he became the company's vice president. This was a place where anyone could sit down, get a cup of coffee, and be treated the same as the guy next to them. No reservations, no dress code, just a stool at the counter and 5 minutes of peace. In the 1970s, the counters started closing in Manhattan. One by one, the real estate was worth more than the coffee. By the time William Black died in 1983, there were only 17 left. The company sold them off. The last counter in Manhattan, the one on Broadway and 35th, near Herald Square, closed in 1990. A sign in the window said, "Yes, we're open." And then it wasn't. They tried to bring it back to Manhattan in 2010. A new location opened on 23rd Street. The date nut bread was on the menu. The jingle played, but it was closed within 2 years. People didn't know it was the last time. That's always how it goes. That's the thing about Chock full of nuts. The food wasn't amazing, but it mattered anyway because it was woven into the ordinary days that made up your life. The coffee is still on the shelves, New York skyline. You've probably seen it at the grocery store and never thought twice. Although the counters have vanished from Manhattan, Chock full of nuts counters still live in Brooklyn. If you remember Chock full of nuts counters in Manhattan, if you went with your mother after shopping at Macy's, or stopped in before your first job, or grabbed a sandwich because it was Tuesday, tell me. Your story belongs here. The city forgot, but you and I remember. And that means something. Do you like cool New York products? Check out the designs inspired by my videos. Link is in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe for more stories about vanished New York. And if you thought what happened to Chock full of nuts was disappointing, wait until you hear this next story.